Located near the village of Little Haywood, Colwich Junction sits on what is now known as the West Coast Main Line, which was opened in 1847 by the London and North Western Railway, with the Colwich to Stone line added in 1849 by the North Staffordshire Railway. Control of the junction was taken over by the London, Midland and Scottish Railways upon the groupings of 1923, and then by British Railways in 1948 during nationalisation. One common sight on this part of the line during the British Railway era was the Class 86 electric locomotive. Introduced in 1965, they measured 58 feet long, weighing in at over 81 tonnes, with a top speed of 110 miles an hour. Designed for high-speed work, 100 examples of this locomotive was built by 1966. On the 19th of September 1986, two trains were due to pass Colwich Junction. The first of these was the 17 p.m. Euston to Manchester Piccadilly via Stoke Express passenger train designated 1 Hotel 20. This train consisted of 13 carriages being hauled by Class 86 locomotive number 86429, the Times, with a combined weight of 444 tonnes. On board were 2 drivers, a guard, and 373 passengers. The second train was the 1720 Liverpool Lime Street to Euston Express passenger train designated 1 Alpha 76. This train consisted of 12 carriages being hauled by Class 86 locomotive number 86211, City of Milton Keynes, with a combined weight of around 400 tonnes. On board was a driver, a guard, and at least 500 passengers. In Colwich signal box, signalman P.T. Millward received details of the Times train at approximately 18:20 p.m. and details of City of Milton Keynes train at approximately 18:23 p.m. He decided to give City of Milton Keynes preference, as it could travel through the junction at speed, whereas the Times, which was running slightly late, would need to be checked in any event. Millward set the route for the train City of Milton Keynes to run through the junction and routed the Times onto the down slow line to signal CH23, which was set at danger. On board the Times, driver B. Shaw was taking his train down towards Colwich Junction at about 100 miles an hour, with driver M.R. Organ riding in the cab with him learning the route. When they reached signal CH105, which was displaying 2 flashing yellows, Shaw brought his train speed down to 80 miles per hour. When they got to signal CH103, which was displaying a single flashing yellow, speed was reduced again to 60 miles per hour. Next was signal CH28, which was showing a single solid yellow with route indicator. Speed was reduced again to about 45 miles an hour. He then passed over crossover 24, taking the Times from the down fast line to the down slow line. As they passed under bridge 131, Shaw was surprised to see that signal CH23 was at danger. He reduced his speed further to about 35 miles per hour, but expected the signal to clear to proceed as he approached it. When they reached CH23, they were still travelling at about 25 miles an hour. Driver Organ yelled, "It's still on," or something to that effect, as the signal was still at danger, and Shaw applied the emergency brakes as the train passed the signal still at danger. Signalman Millard was heard to yell, "Where's he going?" which alerted nearby technicians to the imminent danger. The Times ran through points 21B and onto Diamond points 20 at about 3 to 4 miles an hour. The drivers on the Times could see the City of Milton Keynes was barreling up the line towards them. Unable to do anything else, the 2 drivers abandoned the cab, with Shaw only just escaping before City of Milton Keynes collided with the Times at about 100 miles an hour. The 2 trains derailed, with City of Milton Keynes along with 8 of its carriages, and the Times along with 3 of its carriages, piling up and blocking all 4 lines. Driver Shaw raced to the signal box in the moments after the collision, and was heard to shout to Signalman Millard, "You had double flashing yellows and a route was set for Stoke." To which Millard replied, "You passed a red signal." They cut their argument short, and Shaw joined others rescuing passengers, while Millard made the line safe and summoned the emergency services, the first units of which arrived 4 minutes after the collision. The most surprising aspect of the accident, considering the size and the speed of the trains and the number of people on board, is that there was only one fatality. Driver Eric Goad of City of Milton Keynes was trapped in his cab with injuries that would prove fatal. Of the remaining 800 plus passengers and staff, 75 were injured, with 32 requiring prolonged stays in hospital, but all of these were discharged by November of the same year. One lucky escape was that of Chief Steward of the Times, M.J. Heathcote. In the moments leading up to the collision, he had just entered the first-class carriage to deliver bills to passengers who were taking dinner. He did not feel the emergency braking, and the first he knew that the train was in trouble is when he was suddenly catapulted the entire length of the carriage, receiving only minor injuries. A report into the collision by Major P.M. Olver was released in February of 1988. With mechanical failure and weather conditions being ruled out, attention was focused on driver Shaw. Shaw, when questioned, admitted to had signed off on 3 notices to changes in the line signalling, despite not reading them, even though this was his first time he had driven on the route since the signalling had been changed. Shaw admitted that his trouble, in addition to failing to study the notices outlining the alterations of the signalling at Colwich, was that he believed the arrangement was similar to that at Norton Bridge, and that the flashing yellow aspects meant the line was clear for him to proceed through the junction and onto the down Manchester line. While the cause of the collision was driver error, Shaw did not face any criminal charges. This was due mainly to the inadequate training he had received, as well as the fact that it appears that no one had bothered to check whether he had seen what was given to him, let alone if he had understood them. Also, Colwich had inadequate flank protection, such as trap points or interlocking points between 21B and signals CH28, which may have prevented the collision. Major Olver recommended this be changed. He also recommended the installation of automatic wheel slip prevention equipment, as this may have stopped the train before reaching the diamond points. The damage to both locomotives involved in the collision were deemed beyond repair, and both were withdrawn and scrapped by 1987. A memorial garden to driver Eric Goad sits by the line almost exactly where the accident occurred, and as of the time of this video can still be seen today.